The table we are looking at right now shows the global imports of coffee by country. To analyze the market in depth, it is necessary to know and understand its dynamism, which is the reason why Trademap also calculates the indicators described in the following section. The next three columns under Trade Indicators identify the trends related to: first, the annual growth in value between 2014 and 2018. This indicator shows the average annual growth of the imported value during the past 5 years. For example, for the selected product, there has been an annual decrease in imported value of 1% of the world market, but an annual increase of 1% in the imports of Italy. The average annual growth rate is calculated taking into account all the values over the 5 years, and hence describing more precisely than other methods the performance over the full period. Detailed information on this method, as well as on other terms used, can be found by clicking on the yellow item I next to the indicator. Blank spaces in this column are possible due to lack of information. This indicator is calculated only if data is available for at least 4 years. Otherwise, it's left blank. The next column in the Trends section describes the growth in quantity over the past 5 years. It is calculated using exactly the same methodology. This indicator states whether the imported quantity grew over the past 5 years and at what average annual rate. Finally, we have the growth in value between the last 2 years. This indicator is useful because it shows whether or not the 5 years trend of the imported value has been maintained recently. If the growth in value over the last 2 years differs a lot from the 5 years average, this can mean that the trend is very volatile or has recently been changing. In this case, the corresponding time series should be checked to get more detailed information on the individual yearly annual growth rates, and choosing monthly data on the most recent figures. The monthly data is normally available even for the current year, with a lag of only a few months. The dynamism section is useful to understand whether the market has grown in the past and whether this growth is rather steady or volatile, the latter making it hard to predict if growth will continue over the coming years. Also, it shows whether growth in value is stronger than growth in quantity. This last point should be explored in more detail before we go any further. If value grows faster than volume, which also means that unit values are rising, several things could be happening. The demand for the product could exceed the supply, causing prices to rise. Alternatively, demand could be shifting towards a higher quality product in the cluster, such that highly priced goods substitute low-priced ones in the basket under analysis. Also, demand could be shifting towards the more value-added presentations of the same product, such as more expensive coffee beans in consumer-sized packs for retail sale. Finally, transportation and insurance costs could be rising. While this is likely to be a generalized phenomenon across different products for the same country, it may also be caused by a shift in the mode of transport used for different products within the cluster, e.g. air freight versus sea freight. Of course, there could also be other reasons. It is important to understand that we can't jump to easy conclusions by seeing an increase in unit values. Further research is necessary. Now we turn to the third section under Trade Indicators, which gives us an idea of the market structure. The column Share in World Imports identifies what percentage of world imports each country absorbs. For example, Germany accounts for 14.2% of world imports for this product. The market shares help us to understand whether there are many different markets where producers and exporters can sell, or whether the market structure is polarized. Hence, this may give us some ideas about how competitive the destination market will be. This column is followed by 2 other columns: average distance of supplying country and concentration of supplying countries. You will find further explanatory videos for these two columns in the video gallery or later in the TradeMap playlist. The last column and final section indicates the level of tariffs applied by the country. This column shows the ad valorem equivalent tariff applied by each importing country on average for the analyzed product. On one hand, average relates to the product. It is important to note that the tariffs here are expressed at the 6-digit level, whereas actual tariffs are actually applied at the national tariff line level. Since there may be many products at the tariff line that fit within an HS 6-digit cluster, the actual tariffs may vary considerably around this trade-weighted average tariff. In addition, it should be noted that the tariffs here are averages across all possible supplying countries, because we have not specified the exporting country in this query. The data we show on TradeMap are linked to ITC Market Access Map application. With this indicator, you can compare the average tariffs applied by different destination markets and estimate the level. A deeper and more detailed discussion on tariffs, tariff advantages, ad valorem equivalent tariffs, and all related issues are available under the Resources section of the Market Access Map. You can delve into the definitions of all the terms used and further explanations on their implications to your market research activities. To find the exact tariff applied by an importer to a specific exporting country for a specific product, we recommend you use the Access module. Back to TradeMap, the list of indicators previously mentioned is selected by default in TradeMap. The user can add or remove indicators from the pickup list. You need to click or unclick to select or unselect indicators, and then you click on the Save button. This list of indicators can evolve over time. You can certainly use these additional indicators as criteria to pre-select the most viable markets. Number of non-tariffs measures applied by importing countries are also available in TradeMap, and these numbers are directly linked to the detailed measures available in Market Access Map. Ease of Doing Business ranking is based on the report by World Bank. It provides an indication about the business climate in the importing countries. Estimation of untapped potential trade is a consolidated indicator based on ITC export potential and diversification assessment methodology. It provides a theoretical indication about the additional export value that the country could realize in a particular product and market 5 years from now. If you are interested in learning more about untapped export potential, we invite you to visit Export Potential Map. To recap, the table we analyzed provides you with 4 types of data that allow you to choose one market to examine more in depth: the current indicators, the trends, the structure, and the tariffs applied. All are important when analyzing the world market and selecting potential markets. Let's begin by briefly analyzing the global market. We will then select one of the countries to analyze it further.